It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
This video was supposed to be about which player the Clippers would miss the most. Since a few weeks ago, Pat Bev, Lou Will, Harrell, Shamit, and Zubac were all still away from the team. Each player brings their own unique skill set, and with almost everyone back on the team, it seems like things are finally looking up. Losing an 18-point score would be detrimental, but Harrell's presence goes beyond just his personal stats, and it's been showing in the scrimmages and a little bit in their first game against the Lakers. So let's check out what Harrell does to improve the Clippers. First off, let's look at how their offense works. They like to bring their bigs up top and then a screen into a handoff. If that doesn't generate any openings, they'll keep running pick and rolls until they get their stars a sliver of daylight to make something happen. They run plenty of pin downs as well, especially for Paul George, who's been looking better and better every day. It's just simple offense. If he's not open on the catch, this turns into a pick and roll, and the Clippers let their stars get to work. These double screens also serve the same purpose of getting defense out of position, and Kawhi leverages his mid-range game to get his defender in the air and lays it in. Since the defense always have to collapse on their stars, it generates these wide open spot-up looks. The Bucks double Kawhi when he makes his move. He kicks it out, and the ball keeps finding the open man, always keeping the defense one step behind. All these plays are focused on getting the defender out of position. When Kawhi relocates, his defender is closing out, allowing him to blow by and slam it home. PG gets the ball after coming off the screen. All he needs to do is read the defense and decide to shoot or drive. See how Green is trying to recover, and a pump fake gets him standing straight up. A baseline drive gets PG past Green, and they get another dunk. This time, Kawhi collapses the defense and kicks it out to Lou Will. It seems like the defense was solid, but Bledsoe's momentum is carrying him towards Lou Will, making him susceptible to a blow-by, and Lou Will hits his fading jumper. What many people forget is their best players have been great role players before blossoming into what they are today. Kawhi first became a great two-way spot-up shooter before adding this mid-range pull-up to his game. The same could be said for PG in his first few years, before becoming the focal point of the Pacers' offense. It took a while for Lou Will to get recognized as a 3-level scorer, while Harrell was known as an undersized energy big before becoming a huge force around the basket. All this contributes to the third-ranked offense because they make the right plays, and interchange between being the focal point and the supporting role of the offense. Pat Bev has the ball. A quick reversal to Zubac could get both PG or Kawhi to initiate the action. By handing it off to Kawhi, PG takes a supporting cast roll and spots up on the weak side. When the defense collapses, Kawhi hits PG for the triple. Coming down the floor, Lou Will initiates while PG spots up and Kawhi screens. It collapses the defense, and Patterson gets that open of a look because Matthew wouldn't leave Kawhi, and they give up the corner 3. Even if the defense is able to contain the pick and roll without the weak side getting out of position, that's when Kawhi would pull up for his mid-range jumper. Essentially, their histories of being a role player lets them take what the defense gives them, and here is the mid-range jumper. Most defenses prevent the 3 and the paint. Lou Will's defender gets on the high side of the screen, so Lou Will turns it down. On the drive, Drummond is sinking to prevent the drive to the hoop while trying to guard 2 players at once. What the defense gives up is the mid-range pull-up, and Lou Will says thank you. This brings us to Harrell. He's been a dynamic duo with Lou Will in the pick and roll for the past few years, and a great outlet when teams pressure their stars. Lou Will expertly turns down the screen when Holiday tries to get over. Sabonis shows up higher to prevent the pull-up, leaving Harrell open on the roll, and he floats it in. Many might still look at him as a pure roller who benefits off their star ball handlers. While that's partially true, his improved ball handling allows him to generate looks on his own. Check out these series of plays against the Pacers. He loves to go right, and his combination of strength, speed, and touch allows him to hit this tough floater. This time, Turner steps up higher to take away his drive to the right. While most bigs would use a drop step, Harrell uses an exaggerated crossover to go left, and eventually lays it in. Harrell is not a shooting threat at all, and defenses know the drive is coming, but that doesn't stop him from getting to the rim. Not saying that he's Giannis, but his ability to still get to the rim and score when the defense is fully prepared for it is quite similar to the reigning MVP. Going back to how the Clippers' offense is based on what the defense gives up, this means a big part of the Stars' game is predicated on their jump shot. Looking at the numbers, the Clippers attempt the 12th least shots in the restricted area. That's a little below average. But looking at the individual numbers, Harrell accounts for 9 of those shots. The Knicks' highest is Kawhi, with just under 4 attempts. So what happens if their jumpers aren't falling? The scrimmages were a good example. Sure, they could be rusty after the long layoff, but shooting your way out of the slump isn't the best solution. This was more evident for Kawhi, who really struggled in scrimmages. Their focus on taking what the defense gives up could bite them back when they're in a slump, since they won't force their way to the basket or draw fouls. Kawhi got a mismatch on him. A 6'4" guard who's not known for his defense, Kawhi should feast on him. He could have played bully ball with his frame, but his instinct to spin and create separation kicks in and puts up a contested fading jumper when he's already struggling with the shot. While shot selection and attacking the paint more could be a solution, missing Harrell only amplifies this. Coming off the screen, look at how McGee leaves Noah out on top to deny PG. Noah's not a threat from out there, but you can argue Harrell isn't either. But his quickness, improved ball handling, and aggressive drives to the rim could have made the Lakers pay. Instead, they don't find any openings and jack up a contested 3. Again, the defense sags off Harrell to shadow a potential Lou Will drive. Even though he's situated at the elbow, he's quick enough to get to the basket and strong enough to bounce Robinson off for the slam. On this play, Randall is prepared to contain the handoff to Lou Will. Harrell fakes it, and he gets right to the basket before the defense can react. His relentless attack is essential when their stars are struggling with their shots, and acts as a release valve. Zubac can play this role, but he doesn't have the shot creation that Harrell does, which generates a shot at the basket out of thin air. The Grizzlies contain Shamet off the screen, and they ignore Harrell. If this was Noah or Zubac, they would go into another dribble handoff until there's an opening. Harrell will attack the basket off the dribble and generate a shot. Now imagine if the stars like Kawhi is struggling. Dishing to Zubac or Noah would just generate another look in the mid-range, since they aren't a threat to score in that area, which could encourage their stars to shoot their way out of the slump. Harrell's Giannis-like ability to attack the rim would make bigs second-guess their help, either generating more open looks in the mid-range or open up driving lanes to the rim. The Wizards get so worried about Kawhi coming off the screen that Mahimi is all up on Harrell. A quick drive to the baseline gets Kawhi right to the basket for the reverse. Let's not forget how Harrell is so hard to cover down low, that it generates great looks all around. This can make life a lot easier getting to the basket to get their stars going. What Harrell also does well is knowing when to set a hard screen, slip, and something called a late roll, which I just made up. Lugo does a good job splitting 2 defenders. Harrell recognizes that he's in front of the defense, so he rolls without setting a screen and gets rewarded with the and one. This time, he recognizes that there's no help defender on the weak side, so getting Kawhi's defender trailing will make him open on the roll. He sets the screen and gets Holiday trailing, then puts it in after missing his first attempt. Kawhi comes off the 2 pin downs, forcing Hayes to step up. Harrell doesn't roll instantly, making the defense believe he's not a threat. His quickness allows him to go from the 3-point line to the elbow before the defense recovers, and he slams it home. Zubac and Noah have a decent feel for the game, but their physical screening and lack of quickness could slow down their stars when they're struggling. Noah gets Bogdanovich trailing, but doesn't recognize Holmes was showing out on the screen, basically trapping PG. PG looks for Noah as a release valve, but Noah was too slow getting open, and they had to reset. In contrast, Harrell recognizes his defender's position and slips the screen. Check out how he pivots and opens up to the ball, instead of just diving blindly to the rim. This allows PG to give it up before getting trapped, and the Wizards are forced to foul. There hasn't been any news on whether Harrell would rejoin the team, and it's obvious that losing an 18-point scorer creates a massive hole for the Clippers, but his impact goes beyond just his scoring coming off the bench. If you look at last night's game against the Suns, Kawhi was settling for jumpers, especially during the first half. He strung together 2 or 3 shots right at the rim within the last 3 minutes of the game, getting him in rhythm for the next mid-range jumper. PG did a little better mixing it up and got to the line 10 times, but considering how the Suns averaged the 3rd most fouls in the league, their 27 trips to the line is actually inflated. I'm not worried about the struggles Kawhi had in the scrimmages, or even future struggles by their stars. They're just way too good and way too smart to get stuck in a slump, since they're playing basketball the right way. All they need to do is to get a little bit more selfish by attacking the basket and even get some superstar calls. Things might get a little harder without Harrell, especially without a big who could replicate his gravity. This makes their addition of Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson even more crucial, since the Clippers' offense could get more perimeter orientated and focus more on attacking the defensive weak link. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like down below and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.